In early 2025, the Indian community in the UK faces a harsh reality due to a nationwide crackdown on immigration targeting Indian restaurants and migrant-run businesses. Bloods is underway. The government is cracking down on illegal immigrants. There are widespread raids and arrests at warehouses, car washes, vape shops and restaurants. In fact, the immigration enforcement there, they raided 828 premises, including an Indian restaurant. What does this mean for the country and the immigrants there? Why are they being deported in droves now? And how many Indians are living in the UK illegally? Over 828 immigration raids were conducted that led to about 600 arrests and deportations, of which the majority were Indian nationals. Concurrently, the UK government is implementing stringent changes to its immigration system effective July 2025, making it more difficult for Indian citizens to work, study, and settle in the country. This combination of actions reflects a significant shift in the government's attitude towards Indian migrants, prompting many to consider leaving the UK with data indicating a trend of mass immigration. So, what is going on? Why does it seem like the UK no longer wants Indian migrants? Today, we are going to dissect the government's new playbook rule by painful rule. We will explain exactly how the dream of a life in the UK is being dismantled for so many, and we'll explore the deep contradiction of a government that signs a major trade deal with India with one hand while pushing its people away with the other. This is the story you need to understand. To get to the bottom of this, we have to look at the blueprint. In May 2025, the government published a white paper, a formal policy document with a title that leaves no room for doubt: Restoring Control over the Immigration System. This isn't just tinkering around the edges, it's a complete overhaul designed with one primary goal: to cut net migration and to do it fast. Let's break down the key changes set to take effect in July 2025 that will have the biggest impact on Indian citizens. First, the very definition of a skilled worker has been rewritten. For years, the skilled worker visa required a job offer in an occupation at what is known as RQF Level 3. That's equivalent to A levels. This covered a broad range of valuable professions. But that door has now been slammed shut. The government has raised the minimum skill level required to RQF Level 6, which is the equivalent of a university degree. This single change is honestly devastating. It immediately disqualifies countless roles. Think of the highly talented chefs who have made Indian cuisine a cornerstone of British culture. Second, a critical lifeline for many has been severed. The visa route for social care workers is being closed entirely to new overseas applicants from 22nd July 2025. This is a monumental change. The UK's National Health Service and private care sector have been struggling with immense staff shortages, and they have relied heavily on migrant workers, including tens of thousands from India, to care for the country's most vulnerable people. It was seen as a stable, accessible and noble path to a life in the UK. While those already here on this visa can extend their stay until 2028, the government is phasing the route out completely. For anyone new hoping to come and work in care, that pathway is now a dead end. Now, for what is perhaps the most psychologically brutal change, the long-term goal for most migrants is settlement or indefinite leave to remain. It's the point at which you are no longer temporary. You can truly call the UK home. For years, the standard journey to settlement was 5 years. The government is doubling it. The standard qualifying period for settlement is being extended from 5 years to 10 years for most visa holders, including those on the main skilled worker route. Let that sink in. A full decade of living with temporary status. A decade of visa applications, fees, and the constant underlying anxiety that your right to remain could be revoked. It makes long-term life planning, getting a mortgage, starting a family, truly integrating, feel impossible. The government has mentioned a potential fast-track earned settlement for some like NHS workers, but the details remain vague and unconfirmed. So, here's the thing. The financial barriers are being raised to skyscraper heights. The minimum salary required to obtain a skilled worker visa has been jacked up to £41,700 as of July 2025. This figure, quite frankly, will make it impossible for many businesses, especially those outside of the high-wage bubble of London, to hire from overseas. Many perfectly good graduate jobs, junior positions, and roles in the creative or charity sectors simply do not pay that much. And, the costs are piling up for employers too. The fee for a certificate of sponsorship, which is the digital document a company needs to hire a foreign worker, has been increased by a massive 120% to £525. On top of that, the immigration skills charge, which is basically a tax on these businesses, is also going up. This creates a powerful financial disincentive, doesn't it? Faced with thousands in extra costs and a mountain of red tape, many UK companies will simply give up on international recruitment, further shrinking the opportunities for Indian applicants. Finally, the government is taking aim at the next generation. The graduate visa was a game changer. It allowed international students, after paying huge tuition fees, to stay and work in the UK for 2 years post-graduation. It was a vital bridge that gave Indian graduates a fair chance to find skilled work and switch to a long-term visa. That bridge is being shortened. The visa is being cut from 2 years down to just 18 months. Losing those 6 months is critical. It ramps up the pressure immensely, forcing fresh graduates into a frantic job search to find a sponsoring employer almost the moment they finish their exams, an employer who must also meet the new higher salary and skill thresholds. When you connect all these dots, the picture is, well, undeniable. The UK's legal immigration system is being systematically re-engineered to deter and exclude all but the highest-earning, most senior-level migrants. And the consequences are already here. This isn't just a future problem. According to the Office for National Statistics, in the year ending December 2024, Indian nationals were the single largest group of people to emigrate from the UK. The report directly attributes this trend to the tightening visa rules, with a growing number of students and workers choosing to leave. The exodus has begun, but here is where the story takes a truly bizarre turn. At the exact same time the government is building this fortress, it's also rolling out the red carpet for something else, a major UK-India Free Trade Agreement, or FTA, finalized in May 2025. This deal is all about boosting trade, cutting taxes on UK exports like whiskey and cars and on Indian exports like textiles. But, hidden inside is a deeply controversial clause. It creates a special arrangement for some Indian workers, specifically those on intra-company transfers, meaning they are seconded by their Indian company to a UK branch. The government says this is a standard reciprocal part of a trade deal, but the criticism has been fierce. Opponents have labeled it a two-tier system. How can you justify giving a tax break to a small group of corporate transferees while simultaneously making it prohibitively difficult for an Indian doctor, engineer, chef, or care worker to even be in the country? It sends a deeply cynical message that the UK is open for Indian business but closed to Indian people, that it wants access to India's market of 1 billion consumers but is turning its back on the very individuals who form the living bridge between the two nations. So when we ask the question, does the UK still want Indian migrants in 2025? The government's actions honestly speak louder than any words. The raids, the rule changes, the doubling of the path to settlement, it all points to a clear and deliberate strategy of deterrence. The UK is not the same country it was for migrants just a few years ago. For the millions of Indians who saw their future in Britain, that future is now in serious doubt. This is a complex and emotional issue, and we want to hear from you. Are you an Indian student or worker in the UK? How have these changes affected you or your family? Are you now considering leaving? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. It's a vital conversation. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. If you found this report valuable, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more analysis, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you next time.